Hey, sports fans! Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live post-game show coming at you after the Lakers-Nuggets Game 5. I don't even know what to make of that. That was intense. A really interesting game. Lots of things going on there. I think that it proves that it's not always easy to knock a team out and win 4 straight in a week. I think that's what happened in Game 4. And I actually tweeted it out at some point where I was wondering whether or not the Nuggets were out of sync, and you see Jokic making weird decisions and Murray both like getting caught up in the air and throwing the ball away or taking bad shots. And I had to kind of wrap my head around, well, is this because the Lakers defense is doing something to them, or are they just sort of off? They're home. That crowd was really behind them. I had to have been deafening what it sounded like on the TV feed. So I don't know what to make of that. And then Murray does it again. We have to talk a little bit about how they defended that last play and whether or not there was a better way to do it. The defense in and of itself, I think, was a problem for the Lakers and defending the post, but a lot of interesting questions. Don't forget, while you're out there, if you want your questions asked, the best way to do that is a super chat on this YouTube side. We'll put your question on the screen. We'll give you lots of hype and love and thanks, and we'll go from there. So, I was looking at, let's see here. Coach Nick might as well go to LA to coach there because LeBron. I am in LA, so I'm down the street from crypto. Actually, we have let's get our first super chat going. Why not? Jason Kelly, great to have you on the show. Oh, that's the wrong one. Thank you so much, Jason. Really, really appreciate it. This really just helps us keep the show going. With a top 5 instead of a bottom 5, Coach, the Lakers Nuggets would have gone 7. Bye-bye, Darvin Ham, Genie Bust, one of the worst owners. Listen, Darvin Ham has struggled. There's no question. They don't. I think there's also a little bit of a concern about like when you coach a team that has LeBron James, how much autonomy do you have, and how much practice are you going to have, and how much influence can you have over the team? It ain't easy. Ask Frank Vogel, who is I don't know. Is Frank Vogel a top 5 coach? Let's put him in the top 10. And he was fired after a year and a half after winning a championship with them. So. It ain't easy, is what I'll tell you. And especially if it's your first coaching gig. That's the other thing that probably is something that should be paid attention to. That said, Ty Lue was his first coaching gig in Cleveland, and they won a title with him in his first year. So things can happen. Different people will fit in different ways. I do feel bad for Darvin Ham. I feel like, it was rough. It's rough for him, whatever happens to him. And I guess I was thinking maybe – had they had a better showing in the playoffs and they didn't get matched up with the Nuggets, then maybe he doesn't get fired, but it probably sounds that way at this point. But let's bring on best friend of the breakdown, Chip Clark, who is a college referee, and he was on the show the other night. We talked a little bit about some refereeing, but Chip, how's it going, man?
Hey, Coach Nick, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, as always, a pleasure to have you. I'm glad that you're up late on the East Coast to talk with us and watch that game.
Absolutely.
And let's get to it. We have a review. I was texting with you before, and I wasn't too excited about the notion that they were overturning that foul call. So here's what I saw. A clear, collision with the bodies before the turn and the shot, which then, of course, he tries to block, which actually looked, that could be clean. So they wiped it out because of the block part. Why aren't they including in the replay and the challenge the collision with the bodies ahead before that?
Cool. Yep. So as we've talked about before, per that rule in Coach's Challenge, they can review other fouls that are proximate to the play that happened before that, right? On that particular play, and this is what I text you as well, I feel personally, and you let me know what you think, I think the body-to-body contact in the post move on that drive right there as Jokic is trying to potentially stop and pull up and stuff like that, I feel that body-to-body contact between the two, if calling a foul on that would not be consistent with the way post play had been officiated throughout the game, in my opinion. And so I would not support them going back to put a blocking foul on that before the shot. So then you really get down to, all right, we're really just going to review the contact on the shot attempt, right, which was the foul call in the first place. And in that situation, we can see that there was clear ball contact. Got him a little on the follow through. But after that, the ball is already dislodged, and so that was the reason for the ball becoming dislodged was because he contacted the ball first, and that's why it would be overturned. Now, I text you when we were in the review process. They were in the review process. I don't know if I'd spend my last time out on this challenge, But I did tell you, I said, I think this has a high potential for being overturned for those reasons that I mentioned.
So here's the thing: even though because it's a second challenge and you win it, you do not get the timeout back, which was a big thing. Now, obviously, having that foul wiped off benefits them. There's no free throws for Jokic, right? Like you said, so that's important. But is it worth not having the timeout, which they obviously needed at the very end?
Yeah, that was the risk reward thing that we were talking about in text messages. Like, man, that's a really clutch challenge right there. And you have to be pretty. I would say my percentage, if I recommended a challenge there, I'd have to be at least 85% sure that it's going to be overturned in that situation, time, score, situation in the game. And I feel like, looking back, 85% is something that was achievable on that. I think that I would go with the challenge too in that crucial point of the game.
Right, but then again, if you have to sacrifice, you lose your timeout anyway.
You're going to lose it. Yep. Your second challenge, even if you've reviewed before, even if it was successful, you get that first timeout back. If you review a second time, even if it's successful, you lose that timeout.
Yeah. So I mean, the mistake probably is the review that they challenged in the very beginning, and they won. Wait, they won that one. Yeah. They won that one. They kept the timeout, but then it automatically triggers you losing a timeout later. That was an interesting one because again, there's probably, if we have enough data after enough years, we're really going to be able to figure out exactly, like, should you even bother, in a first quarter or in the first few minutes of the game, would you ever do that? Because you don't know, right, what's going to happen in the very end.
You don't know what's going to happen in the game, and that's always kind of the question. Is like I'm of the opinion that unless it's a really big impact call early in a game where it could be like a third foul in the first quarter, something like that, and it's got possession consequence and it's got a consequence of points as well. Like, those are factors that you want to be tied to. I'm never going to review an out of bounds call. I'm never going to challenge an out of bounds call in the first quarter. Never. Why? Why would you challenge an out of bounds call in the first quarter? That's dumb. So, in my opinion, but yeah, if it's putting a second or third foul on a player in the first quarter, then that's something I could potentially get behind. But you want to save those if possible, because as we see, I mean, there's a lot of emphasis in the L2M reports. They release an L2M report for the last 2 minutes of the game. That's because those are the crucial moments of the game down the stretch where everything's heightened. And so you'd like to be able to have your challenges in your back pocket if possible. Now, sometimes there's calls that you really do need to review earlier in the game, but those are fewer and far between. I'd like to save those if possible.
You have 4 timeouts in the second half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking through. I want to make sure, okay, they lost that one. That hurts. But, why did they have maybe another one? How did the other ones get dispersed? And I'm looking here.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. I can't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't remember. I'm trying to think back too.
Yeah. Well, I got the play-by-play here. So they took one at the end of the third with 2 minutes to go, 2:49. Mm-hmm. Am I missing other? There it is. They took one at 10:53 of the third quarter after LeBron James fouled and made his second foul. Mm-hmm. I had to go back and really look at that one because, there's one where, do you just had the timeout from the in between quarters? Do you need to take that timeout? I think that it's funny because Darvin Ham had gotten a lot of hatred, I suppose, for not calling timeouts. But Phil Jackson didn't call timeouts. He let him play through stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
That said, this is not the same team as Scotty and Michael and all those players, but there he is. He's calling the timeout, and then that ultimately hurts him. So they called one, way early in the third quarter, and then at the end of the third quarter, that's the second one, and then you have the other 2 in the fourth, which were fine. So that it really, really hurts. And timeout management, obviously is really huge. We have another super chat. Let's get to that one here. Here it is from N Starks 007. Thank you so much. That Westbrook trade was the worst trade in recent years. In one move, they burned a championship team to ashes. Think LeBron's a Laker next year. So we got to remind ourselves exactly what that trade was, because I think, and also I had mentioned how Vogel had won a championship, and then a year and a half later he was fired. It was Caruso. No. Gosh, do we have to look this up again? Because now I'm forgetting what the exact trade was. Do you remember off the top of your head?
Yeah, I've got to look it up too.
It's a race, but it's worth going through because
for sure.
They didn't want to sign Caruso So here it is. Part of it was a 3-team trade. So Russell Westbrook went from here we go. When they got him, he was with Washington. So they traded him. This is Kuzma. So KCP, Montrezl Harrell, and Kuzma go to the Wizards. They get Russ. Did they get anybody else? It's a huge paragraph here, but that might sort of be it.
And there were some picks involved too, right?
Let's see. Well, let's see. The Nets are here, the Wizards and the Lakers. And then Spencer Dinwiddie goes to the Wizards from the Nets as part of all this, which is interesting. Spencer ends up on the Lakers this year. But it was losing KCP and Kuzma, which were really big, and then they did not signing Caruso. But KCP, I think, kind of shows you. We could discuss that for a second because I'm sure you're also, familiar as a rep about having to deal with injury timeouts or injured players on the floor or whatever. It was really startling to me to see them keep playing him there. And then also to put him on LeBron.
That was an interesting decision. Usually you'd see an immediate timeout in that situation, when he's limping up the court like that and stuff. So that was an interesting decision. And maybe it was a situation where he just kind of waved it off or whatever, but I don't think I saw that at all. I think that he was struggling to get back, and then putting him on LeBron was an interesting decision there. And then he instantly goes to the locker room as soon as he's taken out. So, that was weird.
In the NBA, there's never a cause. They'll never stop. The referee will never stop the game for an injury, right?
No, the team has to use a timeout.
Okay. But that was really strange. But let's see here. It's a Finish N Starks super chat, at least. Westbrook was really bad. But, especially because at that moment, I think that they had a deal done for, oh, my goodness gracious, who's going to tell me who it's for? They had a better deal, and then out of nowhere – remember the story was, I believe, AD and LeBron went to Palinka no, you got to get Russ, which was strange. And I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a much better fit. Somebody in the comments tell me who it was.
Yeah, tell us. I'm
blanking. And I'll scroll down to see if I can figure it out. But it was really it's too bad that they didn't want to do that. And listen, I get it. It's a big market team, but they're not run by a billionaire, owners. So to go in the luxury tax, yada yada, I get it. And that's why Caruso was tough. But man, do you think they could have used Caruso on this team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could they have used KCP?
Goodness,
any of those guys. Kuzma is funny. Going to Washington, he's kind of, him and Jordan Poole have both become a punchline, but I don't know. Kuzma was figuring some things out, and he was probably the third or maybe the fourth best player on a championship team.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah. Here it is. This is the better deal. Thank you, Joe B. The better deal was for Buddy Hield. At the time, absolutely, I felt like that's what they needed. And Buddy hasn't been showing out too well right now in his first playoff series, but maybe he's just getting some his legs underneath him and he'll be better. But
he hasn't looked good at all that series though. I think he'll turn the corner, but he's struggling so far.
But we have to remember, if you want to really go to the Russell Westbrook experience with the Lakers, it was not good either. It was really bad, and Hield would have probably been better at the very least. And it was sad. I was actually, after game 3 of this series, I was sad. What I mean? It kind of feels like it's something about LeBron and his, not even if it's like his legacy. I am a little bit worried because what do? We only remember things that happened yesterday, right? We're not that the most recent thing is
recency bias. Yep.
Yeah. And so, you have to worry that after enough of these happen with LeBron like that, is it going to tarnish the incredible dominance that he had for, we'll call it 15 years?
Yeah, at least. Yep.
16. So, that's a concern. And I know his legacy is a concern for him. He let Aaron Gordon just rip that offensive rebound from him, right? Unceremonious.
Yep. That's something that you would normally not have seen from LeBron in past.
Yeah. Now, let's get back to that notion when you said they were not going to overturn that call, or they're not going to uphold the call on AD with the collision before the block. because you said it wouldn't be in line with how they were calling the game before that. Now,
And it's specific to post play.
Oh,
I'm specifically talking about post play.
Well, we could talk about. I guess it was a post because he was spinning because he was sort of also going. But like, if you didn't go to the whole hard, I don't know if we're allowed to use prison rules, but whatever that term is now,
right?
It was, and I kind of don't mind it. I just feel like at some point after the first quarter, stop yelling, stop complaining. Like, okay, it's clear by now. And then if you're going to go to the basket, you better go and you better finish. I don't think I saw Jokic complaining, but man, was he missing shots that he doesn't normally miss.
Yeah, that's kind of a storyline in itself. Is like, there was I think you're from mid range in, and specifically in the lane, like you saw some misses from him that you'd rarely see. So he was a little off down there too. I don't know if it had to do with physicality. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but you're absolutely right. And players have to adjust to the way the game's being called. And in a lot of cases, I understand, like, your players that drive the basket, they look for foul calls, okay? If they don't get them, they're going to be upset. They're going to continue to argue, stuff like that. However, you have to adjust throughout the game. If you see the game's being called a certain way, you got to play through contact. And that's something we've talked about on the show before, too, is that you got to play through contact and then not expect those. You've got to finish like you're not going to get a call. And I think a few of those, like, sure, there was a few that on drives to the basket, you've got some arm contact, you've got some stuff like that. They finish through it, and it's a no call. It's a play on, and so that's really establishing, like, okay, you were not affected in any way by this contact, so that's marginal. We're going to keep playing, and that you need to log that as a player. All right, This is what we're playing through here. Now, a lot of people will say, well, if that's the case, then that's what leads to people like throwing their heads back or flopping, trying to get a call. Or here's an idea. You could just play big boy basketball and let's go.
Yeah. I would say it would discourage flopping because they're not calling this stuff, right? And so in my mind, it's like you going off 2 feet as you get in the paint every time, and you're really making sure you're sizing everything up to make sure that you can handle through contact. Certainly when you're training in the summers, you have somebody with a pad and they're hitting you really hard and you're finishing. So all these guys have that in their bag. They just need to know how to do it. Now, what LeBron got caught, it was interesting. He has the one shot I don't really love that he does is when he goes to his left and goes off the left foot and then shoots it with the right hand, drifting to his left.
Yes.
And he when there's contact on that off of 1 foot, like, that's a hard shot to make. And he completely blew one, but then he got one and one. And it was actually a really great play where the Nuggets got a little too clever for themselves and decided to press full court with maybe a 2-point lead. And did you see that LeBron throws it in and just sprints right off of the inbounds?
Yep.
And, his man was nowhere. Oh, it was like maybe Gordon was like screwing around with trying to be clever. And then it left Reggie Jackson to foul when he hit the shot. So he hit that one, but we had a full head of steam.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's the thing is you started to see, and even something like with the final shot by Jamal Murray, he also adjusted his feet and cadence to throw off Reeves. Just enough. I mean, Reeves was there. I don't think that they really could have defended that much better in theory. But it was interesting to see how it kind of felt like Jokic understood that he just wasn't. He didn't have it. He didn't have it tonight. I mean,
I think he understood that too. I mean, he's still ended up. Would he end up with 19 or something like that? 20.
Yeah. Jokic was 20. No, he had 25 points.
Oh, 25. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but it didn't feel.
It's a quiet 25.
Yeah, 25 and 20.
But I mean, the Nuggets got some really key clutch buckets from Murray, obviously. But Michael Porter Jr. hit some clutch threes as well, man. Like, I mean, it felt like when he caught it and shot it from behind the arc, it was going to go in. Like, I just got that feeling every time he had a catch and shoot from behind the arc, it was going in, whether it's contested or not. You have that one where it's contested, potential for a 4-point play. AD comes out to contest and, is not able to stop short enough of contact. He gets that and one opportunity. But yeah, he put in some clutch minutes for him tonight. But yeah, I think Jokic just knew he wasn't on his normal game for sure.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then let Jamal. And by the way, Jamal Murray was equal parts great and equal parts not great at all. It was a wild game and hard to get a handle on. And I think partly, the emotion of having to try and deal with a closeout game against Hall of Famers, like all that, it is true, it is real, and like they're going to play. Even AD going through whatever happened with his shoulder. He played 40 minutes. It's not like Laker fans can be like, God, if he just hadn't missed, that time, we would have won the game. He played as many minutes as he would have played. Now that said, he looked like he was hobbled. KCP shouldn't have been out there.
No.
That's, by the way, this might have been a little crack in the Denver Nuggets facade, because after game 3, I'm like, again, no one's going to beat them, and it's not even going to be close. Well, I don't know. Now the Wolves are well rested. They have the defenders to go up against this, right? They have no experience, but they certainly have the defenders.
I like this series, man. I like this series. I think it's going to be it's going to be an entertaining series, in my opinion. I'm not ready to make a prediction on it, but I mean, obviously it favors the Nuggets, but I like the potential matchups that we're going to be able to see in that series. And from a defensive standpoint, I really like it.
Well, let's get to a couple more super chats.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for weighing in again. The Lakers were also in talks to sign DeMar DeRozan, and those talks fell through. So, I mean, if you replace Kyle Kuzma with DeMar DeRozan, like, that's good. That'll help. Although, remember, Kuzma stretched the floor better at that time, even now, I think. But there was a couple other deals that were clearly better than bringing Russ in. That wasn't what they needed for that team. And it was sad. Like, by the end of that season, Russ knew it was over, and they all knew, and it was awkward. The whole energy was awkward for that whole thing. And meanwhile, you know what? There were moments when Russ did play well later in the season, and he can. And it's great to see how the Clippers are using him. That's how they need to use him. Play him 20 minutes a game. In fact, I'm finishing up my Clippers Mavericks thing.
Oh, yeah.
Get it done today. I'm going to probably finish it right now and then drop it really early in the morning tomorrow, because I have to get a video, I think, of this game, don't I?
Yeah, I think you do. I think
people, let me know in the comments. You guys, I'm assuming you want me to break down Lakers Nuggets. So I'm going to try and attack that one early in the morning and get that out as quickly as I can. I'm struggling, man. The first round is always impossible.
Dude, first round is so tough. Literally, we're burning the midnight oil almost every night, staying up for all these games. Weekends, you've got four games back to back to back. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And then you're editing videos on top of it.
Yeah. And then weekends are, supposed to be family time. It's rough. So I'm trying. But we have another super chat. Thank you so much, 9 Flyer. MPJ hit massive momentum-changing shots in all 5 games. What a player he's turning into. Why would they not send a double at Murray right there? So, first of all, let's make sure we get MPJ the props he deserves for the defensive end.
Yes.
Because, whatever you want to say about him, keeping guys in front or whatever, like, he's okay with that, but he's making defensive plays now. He's blocking a shot, getting deflections, getting a steal. He used to not make any plays on that end, and now he's actually, causing havoc on that end and looking to try and do that. So he should get, I think, more props for that.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, you have to imagine any opposing arena that they're in, when the ball gets swung to him, it's like, I'm sure there's a collective gasp every time he touches the ball.
Yep. I think he's turned into that type of player. And like you said, man, on both ends now too, like, he's contributing. So yeah, it's clutch.
I gotta go through it, because in game 3, what the Nuggets were doing geniusly was goading LeBron into matchup hunting down the stretch.
Yep.
And because they put Jokic on Rui, he kept calling Rui up to screen for him, so they weren't getting him the AD LeBron pick and roll stuff, which is bread and butter. It looked to me like tonight LeBron was ISOing more. He's like, well, just forget it. I'm not going to. I'm just going to demolish whoever is guarding me. And the Nuggets were caught without Aaron Gordon guarding him, I think, because of that. They were hoping he would then start doing the matchup hunting. So that was a mistake, I think, that Coach Malone needed to adjust to. They didn't. It won't matter now. They got through it, but that was an interesting chess move. I'm not even sure it's a chess move, because telling your best player like LeBron, oh, just go, like, okay, I mean, that's a good idea. But either way, that seemed to be a lot more effective for them, and it kept everybody else more involved. And then you still saw guys like Reeves have to be part of that. Reeves hit some big shots in a way that, I'm not even sure that's really his role in the team. A little bit, but you're talking about under 4 minutes to go, and the ball should be going through LeBron, and here's Reeves doing it and scoring. I mean, it's impressive. He's good. He's definitely good, but
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers spread out their points across their top 5 guys pretty evenly tonight, with the exception of, I guess, LeBron.
Yeah.
So they got contributions.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can see Rui 15, LeBron 30, Anthony Davis 17, and Austin Reeves 19, and D'Angelo Russell 14. So, yeah, I mean, listen, and kudos to them. They didn't give up. They didn't just lie down. They competed really, really hard and gave us, listen, it is one of those strange things. Last year, too, they were up. They had leads in all those. And I think, I don't know about every game last year, but most of those games they were right there in every game. And same thing here. People were starting to, kind of influence me today on Twitter. I was seeing a few things saying like the Murray, game 2 game winner. And then a bit here, it could have been 2-2, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Right. Yep. So, all those things, but it's so much energy to expend just to kind of keep up and stay there. And then you can see what happens at the end. Without KCP being healthy, I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned for the Nuggets.
I mean, I hope injuries don't become a huge part of this playoffs and across all series. Like we're seeing some injuries pop up now at the worst possible time, and you just hate it for the players and the teams, and I hate it for the fans of all these teams too.
How about the coaches?
The coaches, yeah.
We see Chris Finch go down with a patella tear on the impact of that. That was brutal. He was in a lot of pain. I think the good news there with the patella injury like that, he'll probably have something that immobilized the knee, but he can be, he can be coaching, I think. Although I wonder how he's going to be able to sit with his legs sticking straight out. Unless they let him bend it, which is possible, I suppose. I think he should be able to be on the bench.
I'm hopeful. I haven't seen any reports about that yet, about what he's planning on doing other than surgery. But I imagine he would be able to coach. But yeah, it might be a little weird over there.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to try and delay surgery and put him in some sort of a contraption, that where he can kind of be moving around, I guess. But I don't know. But I haven't heard enough about that actually. So we'll find out. I'm sure now that these series are over, the focus will turn to that. I see. So Justin wants me to talk a little bit more about Ham and what the grade I'd give him. I mean, the grade is not good. It was not a great coaching job. I mean, even it was indicative of how they guarded Jokic down the stretch the last couple plays, where they, Anthony Davis just wanders down to double team the post off of Michael Porter Jr. It was Michael Porter Jr. who hits the 3. That was the 4-point play, I think, right?
Yep.
On the right wing. Yep. And then the next time down, with D'Lo on the weak side. So it's D'Lo on the weak side, and then you have LeBron in the guarding the dunker spot. Murray just cut straight through the middle, and I tweeted it with a little cheekiness where you can see D'Lo is pointing to the area where he knows someone's going to cut.
Yep, but nobody moved there.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, he knew. At least he knew it. He didn't go there. You could argue that LeBron should have been stepping up that far, but on a cut from that area, that angle, it's D'Lo. He's the one who has to come over. That way, LeBron can also stay on Gordon in that dunker spot and maybe box him out. Although that didn't go so well later anyway. But that's the D'Lo experience. Like he'll demonstrate the IQ that he kind of knows what has to happen, but then he doesn't do it. And they're going to look at that for a long time. That dunk, that was demoralizing. That might have ended the game a little early.
Yeah, that was a monster dunk there. Hey, with Murray hitting these 2 clutch game winners in this series, you had your discussion the other day about Ant versus Murray in your top 15.
Oh, did I include that? Now I'm forgetting. Did we mention Murray too?
No, it wasn't that who you were debating, or somebody was debating?
And originally it was Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, it was Donovan Mitchell. But where do you rank Murray? Murray?
Okay, let's get to that in a second. But Joe B, I just want to say, oh my God, thank you so much again for another super chat. Really, really generous. He wants to say, I love how 2 of the Nuggets victories came off Jamal Murray game winners. I mean, like Jamal, we have playoff Jamal, right? like that has to be a thing now as well. Although the regular season Jamal is just as good, but he seems to be a little beaten up a lot, and then we miss games from him. But and it's like Jokic gets all the kudos and all the fanfare, but in reality, Murray is as important, if not more, on the team. So it's like, can Jokic win another MVP award and not be the MVP on his team? Basically, what the question is. But yeah, let's wait. What were we just? Wait, I'm sorry.
And him playing through the calf injury too, like tonight, and putting up the numbers that he did. I mean,
Amazing.
impressive, man.
I was really
Impressive.
worried. I was worried because those calf things. I'm dealing with one now, and it's like it just keeps coming back. It doesn't
Yep.
go away. So all those things were amazing, and also just a testament to their medical staff and the methods you have now to get people healed. But let's talk a little bit about that. But thank you, Joby. So I had tweeted out when I was watching and man, I got in trouble again today because I shared a piece from my Magic video where there just seems to be an inordinate amount of buckets being made on Evan Mobley. And they're going at him, to score on those. And so, the question arises, okay, should he necessarily be exalted as high as he is on the defensive end if he's getting scored on? Even though I'm the first guy to tell you that happens a lot with good defenders because they are guarding the best offensive players. And they might do an awesome job and they still score. A lot of the Cavs fans felt like, I posted a lot of them in a row. They thought that they were all pretty hard shots. And I'm like, well, I don't know. When you're shooting from 6 feet in the lane, like that's not that hard, is it? I don't know. But maybe my point is at some point you got to get some more stops. You know what I mean? You can't be giving up that many across the 2 games or the 3 games that I was looking through. So, but here's the thing. So we were talking about Donovan Mitchell. We're talking about watching that series and how weird it was for me to see a series where there wasn't a top 15 player on the court.
Yeah.
And, just in case anybody missed this conversation. And but I didn't mean it to be negative per se. No. It was 2 teams like running their offense, and it wasn't like any heliocentricity where you have a guy who's like drawing double teams and kicking. It was kind of a clean back and forth, interesting game. It was just weird. It was weird. It's all I can tell.
It's just weird.
And so, and by the way, I chose 15 for a reason because I was looking at, okay, where can we put them? So anyway, the Cavs fans got really upset because I didn't put Mitchell at 15. But if you did that, then you had to put Anthony Edwards below him. And I mean, I got to tell you, Anthony Edwards in this series, I think, has separated himself.
Yeah.
You have to put Zion below him. You have to put Kyrie. Kyrie? Oh my God.
No, you can't.
So I don't. That's not a great argument at this point. But you're right. I don't think Jamal Murray obviously would have to be below the 15th either to get Donovan Mitchell up there.
That's why I brought it up, and I had mixed up the names at first, but I wanted to bring up Murray into that conversation because, who are you putting him above? But then, he puts on a show like this, and hits these clutch game winners. And so, like you said, playoff Jamal, where does that discussion go? Well, you got your regular season players, you got your top 15. How heavily is factored in the playoff experience?
I could do a poll live. Should I try that?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to try and do it. Well, next I have to go on to my YouTube channel. It's really bizarre, I think. Let me find it here. But go to my channel. But I'll do one next time you answer a question. I'll do it real quick. But let me mute this so no one hears the feedback. But let's find. I'm kind of curious what people think about that as far as where we rate them. Where's the poll button? Here it is. Here, start a poll. Anyway, so I'll do that. But yeah, it's an interesting question because again, we forget about Jamal a lot of times because maybe he doesn't play all the games or whatever. But there's no question his performances, over the last several playoffs, even the one they didn't win in the bubble. I think he was right. He was amazing for that stretch. He's better than Donovan Mitchell. I think you have to put him better than Donovan Mitchell. It's a little bit harder because he's playing alongside a guy who is could very well be the greatest of all time. But Jamal Murray is creating, right? He's not necessarily benefiting. I mean, he is to some degree, but he is creating his shots. He is making his own, destiny here. So that is
this shot creation from him is something I've been impressed with for sure. Like, especially considering the factor you just mentioned. You got Jokic that you get to play with, which opens up other opportunities. But some of the shots he's created for himself in clutch moments, and it's pretty impressive, man. Pretty impressive.
Right. So here's the question: who's a better player, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray? Let's put Kyrie in here, and who's the other guard? And Anthony Edwards. Yeah, there we go. Anthony Edwards. This is an interesting poll. Let's do that. Get it. All right. Go to the on YouTube. Go to the wherever you go comments. There should be a poll that pops up there. I'm going to keep it on my screen so I can monitor it. Oh wow, we're already getting votes. Perfect. Good. So we'll continue to monitor that while we do the show. But I think we have another super chat. Let me put that over here. Oh no, we don't. Okay. I got too many windows open. Let's do this. So any other thoughts? We have some thoughts about the other game. New Orleans looks like they're pretty much that's going to be it for them.
Yep.
I had a run out. Didn't barely even see that one. But then I don't know.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What's the other series that you'd seen recently?
I didn't get to watch Celtics Heat tonight. I was at a work dinner.
Okay.
But I got back in time for the Lakers Nuggets game, so I didn't get to watch those first two games at all.
Okay.
But some of the, I mean, obviously we had the Wolves close it out last night, and we're anticipating a really good second round matchup between them and the Nuggets. Well, what is your thoughts on that? I mean, we've already talked a little bit about it, but what are the things that you're specifically looking for in that series that could maybe give the Wolves the upper hand or give them a positive chance?
It's a great question because we're talking about let's look at it from a defensive standpoint on the Minnesota side, who they have to guard. So like Aaron Gordon is going to be a problem, and he tends to be a guy you can't match up well with. And McDaniels is going to get manhandled by him. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get Reed in there earlier, or I don't know if they start him, but maybe, because I think Rudy and Naz Reid together it also offensively makes them, and by the way, I'm sorry, you also have Cat. So. Yep. Does Cat guard Aaron Gordon? Like maybe, and okay, that might be a little bit better for them than MPJ. You know what? Maybe I just actually got that screwed up, because in theory, Cat would guard him. MPJ would be guarded by McDaniels. That's probably better.
That's better.
And then Anthony Edwards can guard Murray. Anthony Edwards is really good defensively.
He is. He really is.
And then and by the way, Nickel Walker-Alexander, again, a guy who I was not convinced about, but like he's playing defense. So they match up very, very well in that respect, I think. Now, I think that will be the key is how Cat does against Aaron Gordon. Can they handle that well? Now, on the flip side, how do they do that? I mean, obviously Jokic guards Rudy, and that's not going to be, I am still sort of amazed at how often they try and give Rudy the ball to score. I don't understand that at all, but they do. But that won't happen.
I think that won't happen in this series. And I'm more surprised in the ones where he's catching it back to the basket from 8 feet away, and then doing a turnaround or whatever. He just hasn't been successful at that. He's more successful on the dump passes, alley-oops, stuff around the rim. That'll be interesting. I do think so. Do you think it's a foregone conclusion then that when Rudy's on the floor, he's paired up with Joker from a defensive perspective?
Yeah. I mean, I got to go through some footage, but I can't picture in my mind's eye him guarding.
You don't think they would throw any different looks?
Yeah, like does he guard Aaron Gordon so he can roam a little bit, because Aaron Gordon likes to be in the dunker spot, so he can kind of be like, that's interesting to me. But then so he put Cat on Jokic, maybe. Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think through a few different scenarios, and then I mean, goodness, they've got Naz Reid coming off the bench too, who's athletic, who can guard a couple of positions. So I mean, they've got some options, which is a good thing to have.
Right. It's kind of like the Clippers also are in that same boat in theory, because they have Tice, they have Plumlee, they have Zubats. They have a lot of big guys that they can throw out there to guard him, and then maybe not have to double him as much. And then maybe instead of shooting 58%, he shoots 51 or 52, and that could be the opening. And you're not giving up threes and all the cutting, right?
Right. You're not going to shut him down. Like, you just got to contain, and just hope that he has a night like tonight where he has a quiet 25.
Right. Well, remember he had a stretch during the regular season this year, 5 or 6 games, like he looked like this, although he was scoring even less and shooting even worse, and it was just weird, and no one knew what was going on. Like maybe he was sick or something, or maybe he got banged up and they didn't report it, because that was out of the ordinary. But it can happen, and you hate to happen now. Of all the games, and again, the dude had 25 and 20 and whatever.
Yeah.
But you can tell he was off, and his decision making was a little slower than normal too. That was interesting. So, all right, we have another super chat from Daniel, friend of the breakdown. Daniel, great to see you. Thank you so much from Australia. Hey, Coach, sorry to make it about OKC again. I'm telling you, he's an OKC fan in our community. I just needed to say that Lou Dort is the best wing defender in the NBA. The way he owned BI was nuts. Absolutely. I think I mentioned that today in the live show we had earlier. Without question, yeah. I mean, Dort was just, listen, maybe Ingram was still a little bit rusty, still kind of not whatever, but yeah, it was. Did you get a chance to catch any of those games?
Yeah, man, I love Dort on the defensive end, man. I love him as a defender. And goodness, like I didn't get to watch much OKC this year, but the games that I've seen, like, dude, does he miss 3-pointers? Like,
Well,
it's just
that's a
crazy.
great story because he was the guy they would literally like play like Russ, like they just leave him completely
Yeah,
alone.
dude, like he just makes a lot of threes, man.
Yeah, no, he ended up, I want to say like 45% this year. Let me look real quick. But it's a great testament to him. Now, that said, he's shooting so well because they haven't changed the scouting report on him. It's weird. They're going to have to, and then I suspect it will go down, obviously. But it was a really great work for him. Oh, I'm sorry. He finished at 394. Maybe in the playoffs, is he higher? Oh, okay. In the playoffs, he's 55.6% from three on 6 attempts per game.
Yeah. See, dude, so that's what, like, I didn't get to watch him much in the regular season, and so like I see him, like, obviously his defensive game sticks out to me, like, because I'm a defensive guy. I love defense. So which people that follow me on Twitter wouldn't think that because they think I'm always advocating for more footwork being legal and less defense, but I'm a defensive guy, so that's what stuck out to me first. But then I watched more, and I'm like, dude, does this guy miss from behind the arc?
Yeah, not much in the playoffs. I'll tell you that. And by the way, he can really drive too. That was up here. So he was a great defender. He could drive really well. And now he's put the 3-pointer into place. So again, OKC has not missed very much at all on their draft picks because they're all combining. Now, they don't really have enough experience, I don't think, at this round. So that's really the big question mark. Neither does the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's the other problem is they really don't have as much experience, obviously, as the Nuggets do. And that ultimately could be it, the deciding factor for the Nuggets being able to win. But I'm telling you, KCP's got to somehow get healthy. And they got to make sure that Murray is stays the way he is. Doesn't get hurt again.
It's just nice for me personally, and what's your take on this? But it's nice seeing so many young teams in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I like it. It mixes it up a little bit. Like they're getting their experience now. You got the two teams you mentioned. The Magic are still in it. Like just some good young teams with their draft picks that they've used that have found their way. And
oh yeah, so, I mean, and the best part is like the Knicks having a lot of success. And a resurgence. That's awesome to see. It's been too long for. Mm-hmm. How much of a struggle it's been, up until the last couple of years. So that's really great. And the Cavaliers too are kind of having that resurgence. So. It is really nice to see I think we're moving into a different era of the NBA, right? LeBron is going to be going away. Steph is going away. They need more Anthony Edwardses. They need more of those kind of guys to capture our imagination.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to tell you that Anthony Edwards had that one dunk. I mean,
I was about to bring it up, man. Baby Jordan on that one, dude. Looked just like him.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen too many people with the movement pattern of Michael Jordan, and he kind of has. He's bigger, right? He doesn't have the same body type, but I tell you, it gives me pause when I see that because I can remember what it was like to be a kid and first experiencing what Michael Jordan can do, and we hadn't ever seen that. Okay, let's see. Another super chat. Thank you so much, Colin Anthony. Wow, thank you, Colin. Yeah, MPJ equals next up is best pure shooter in the league. I mean, by the way, might be the best pure shooter is like LeBron. His 3-ball, like how many did he hit tonight? Did I get rid of my
goodness. I don't know. I've got it
here.
Right
it is.
Here.
LeBron, he only went 3 for 7. Okay. It seemed like he hit more than that. But when the ball goes in for him now, it's like that. It's not like a switch. It's the perfect like drop straight through.
Yep.
Like he's in his backyard with his son, who's trying to talk crap.
That was funny.
Slides. Yep. That's what it looked like. But the thing with Michael Porter Jr. is I always the way I teach a one motion shot now, the legs are not the source of the power. It's the dip and the synchronization of your arms and your legs. But with MPJ, he's a high release point. He needs to jump high. And so he's a throwback in that way. But I tell you, there's a collective groan and when you're on the road with for the Nuggets. and he gets the ball on a catch. And I remember that there were certain guys. Joe Dumars was that guy when I was in the stadium watching the Bulls play those Pistons teams, and they had to whenever he got the ball, it was like, oh my God, we all would just like put our heads.
Yep.
It's terrible. So
did you ever do this too, like with teams that you really followed, that you really liked? Like whenever you're going against a team and you have a guy like that, they catch the ball. Did you ever just look away from the TV?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. Or put my hands like, no.
I'm like, I'm not even gonna look. Like, I don't know if I was superstitious or not, but I'm just like, this is going in. I'm not even gonna watch it go in. I don't even want to see it.
Well, that reminds me of when I was coaching in high school. There'd be times when I think like we'd be shooting a really important free throw, and a lot of times the referee's standing like right in front of where you are.
Yeah,
I would do that. I'd put my head like almost on his shoulder. Like, tell me what happens, and he would laugh or whatever because it's like
intense moment. Yep.
Yeah, it's always fun, and they were always good sports about it. But yeah, so MPJ for sure is pure shooter is a really good term for him, and it's almost not fair because he's 6'10".
Right, that's crazy.
Like, there isn't a contest that anybody can offer short of like maybe Wemby to really or I guess Rudy or those kind of guys who don't. Rudy doesn't really get out like that, but like Wemby can.
Yeah.
And Chet, but other than that, I don't know who would bother him on any of those shots, really.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like we mentioned, he's playing some defense too is really, really, it's great to see. I'd like to see players coming in the league and improving, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there was a moment there for several years where it wasn't a lot of guys improving across the board. It didn't feel that way to me. Where like way back in the 80s, it's like some guy would show up the next year and like, oh, clearly he was working on a spin move and he's doing whatever, something like that. And by the way, it's a testament to how polished everyone is anyway already, right? But
no, that's very true.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think we might have to start wrapping this up. I know it's late for you, and
what kind of results do you have on the poll?
I didn't see the poll. The poll. It is. How do I see it here? I can. No, I don't want to end. Oh, here I click on it. Who is the best? Who is the better player? So Donovan Mitchell 2%, Jamal Murray 26%, Kyrie Irving 18%, and then Anthony Edwards 54%.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe I'll screenshot that poll on Twitter. Well, that's 200 votes. So that's a pretty good sample size. Yeah. I think that's what we're and again, recency bias or not. I mean, listen, Kyrie was he brought them all the way back from that 31-point deficit. It was pretty much him. I'm loving Murray right now. That does surprise me a little with Kyrie being at 18% in that poll. Oh, now it changed. Kyrie's now 19 after that. But yes, right. It's interesting. So it's Anthony Edwards, Jamal Murray, Kyrie Irving, and then Donovan Mitchell. I mean that I can go with that. That's a good. I could roll with it. I just didn't think it'd be by that kind of margin on the. Yeah. I think with Ant for sure. I think Ant's probably he's the best out of those four. Right. And then here's the next question: are they all competing for the 15th spot? Because I don't know. I think Ant go higher. Right? Yeah, they're not. I don't think Ant's competing for the 15th spot. I'm not prepared to give my top 15, but I think he's probably closer to the top 10. Yeah, I got to see the list again, but I don't see why he wouldn't be closer to 10, honestly. Yeah. So he's an exciting player to watch. I mean, listen, with all these people talking about how like they don't watch the NBA anymore and they can't watch it anymore, it's like, man, you're missing out on some exciting stuff, dude. I just love basketball. I love watching it. Like my Rev season finished, a month and a half ago, man, and the fact that I get to watch some significant basketball, now into June, like heck yeah. Yeah. Sign me up, dude. Barth 3400, thank you so much, Barth. I appreciate it, from Canada. Nuggets lack the options to guard both Cat and Ant. Okay. Aaron Gordon can guard Cat, and then KCP, when he's healthy, guards Ant. That's okay. But if he's not healthy, and then Brown, could get out there and play some defense on Ant. The other guy who came in and hit a three, gosh darn it, for the Nuggets. But oh my God, I'm blanking. Why am I blanking? I'll tell you. Peyton Watson. So they have guys, who can guard. I don't think that's as big of an issue, honestly. And as a result, we're going to get a great series. Like we really get a great series. The only thing that's going to be different is whether or not, if it's the weight of the moment and they don't have all the experience and whatever, and the Nuggets. But and the Nuggets they have the lower seed, right? Wait, who's home? Yeah.
Yeah. Nuggets are the 2.
That's going to be big too, I'm sure. I mean, you could tell from this watching the game how loud it must have been in that stadium. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's
Mile high.
It's different.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, man. Like I could see home court advantage being big in that one, but man, I love the potential matchups we're going to get to see in this one. It's going to be a good series. I think would this be the series that's got the most attention from you going into the second round? I mean, we still have to see how things shake out, but potentially.
Yeah, because the other one's going to be like Thunder versus Clippers Mavericks. Okay, Knicks and Pacers. Yeah, probably. Yeah, this is going to be it. This is the marquee matchup.
I think it would be too.
It probably decides the championship, really.
Yeah.
We have Daniel Cini again. Thank you, Daniel, again from Australia. Another super chat. Really, really appreciate it. And always great to see you out here. What do you make of the Clippers Clippers winning without Kawhi, or only winning without Kawhi? Well, if you saw Kawhi, he was a shell of himself. So, the more minutes he's out there, the worse they were going to be. He couldn't perform the way they needed him to. So I had said earlier in the show, earlier today, maybe put the statue up. Where would his statue be? Where is Kawhi's statue going to be? Is it Toronto? Is it going to be in
right? Exactly.
Maybe put him all three.
Put him in all three.
Statue. Maybe it's time to just sort of I can't imagine how difficult it must be for him to have to deal with this, and it's not responding, and then the knee and all these different things. So it might be time. His body might be finally telling him, like, listen, this is not for us anymore, and maybe he needs to stop. But it makes sense to me that at the very least, Paul George is amazing. James Harden, they combined. So when they had the 31-point lead, it was 55-24. Is that right? Is that right, math? Yeah. Of the 55 points, Paul George and James Harden either scored or assisted on 53 of them.
That's crazy. It was crazy.
So, yeah. And then when Kyrie let him back, Kyrie ended up, either scoring or assisting on 30-some points of that comeback. Because Luka, got out of sorts. We could talk about that for a second. Where he was getting mad at the refs. He got a tech on a. I know. He doesn't get a call in the very second play of the game, and they're being physical with him, and he just takes a foul on his own accord, as if that's going to make some weird point. But then it put him in foul trouble when they got another foul a minute later. It was like that's not MVP behavior.
Yeah, there's. Man, I've said it before, but I love his game. He's a great freaking talent. But the extra stuff are those little things that you just mentioned are the things that can put you in a box, man. It's like, I just feel like I can't help but feel that he would be so much better of a player if he just left the extra crap. And the extra crap to me is stuff like that. Yeah. It's the frustration fouls. It's the constant complaining, the constant griping, constant worrying about somebody else doing their job instead of you doing your job. Like, I can't help but think that he would be a better player if he left that behind, that side of it. And we heard him, what was it, earlier in this regular season, like make a commitment to stop complaining as much about calls or this, that, and the other. That didn't really last.
But he did this earlier too, right? He did that.
Yeah, he did that too. It's just and just for people that maybe tuned in, it's like my thing is this from a ref's perspective. I don't understand what you think that achieves. Right. Like, what's the purpose? Is it to get the fans riled up? Is it just because you're frustrated? Like, the way that he talks to officials, there's more productive ways to do it. You know what I mean? Right. And so if you really have a genuine concern about the way the game's being officiated or certain calls or no calls that you feel are not going your way, have you ever known anybody in the history of the world to change their mind or open their mind to to something that somebody else is saying if they're yelling and screaming profanity at them? Right. Or if they're boisterous or this. So refs are no different. We're humans, man. So if you're yelling and screaming at me constantly throughout a game, I don't believe you. You're the boy who cried wolf. Yeah. You know? And so it's like, what do you think that proves? And what do you think it achieves? So that's the point of, you've got your people. We just mentioned Kawhi Leonard, one of my favorite players, because he just puts his head down and goes to work, man.
Yeah.
He just does it. And I know there's different personalities. There's a lot of things that we love about those type of players who are aggressive, who are just boisterous, this, that, and the other, because when there's exciting moments, they're excitable. You know what I mean? And it's great TV. But yeah, it's when it comes to officiating, when it comes to communicating with officials, there's ways to get your point across that actually can help you and be productive conversations with officials. And this goes against all that, the way he handles himself.
And I consult, or I try and help coaches understand, like, you always need to have a goal with whatever interaction you're having. And okay, Luka, what is your goal? Your goal is for the referees to start calling fouls for me, or to, whatever. Okay, what are you doing to achieve that goal? You are threatening them, or you are insinuating that they are dirty and that they're cheating and like whatever.
Right.
Does that help you get closer to your goal or farther from your goal? I think
farther, way farther.
Then I think it would really help. And you're right. He needs to put that stuff away. It is frustrating as a fan, and then also as a coach, I would have been livid to see him take that foul. And he just kind of ran into the guy and was all angry, like, "See, that's a foul. I don't know what he was doing." And then literally, Paul George was like, "Okay, great. I am now going to isolate on you, and we're going to draw the next foul, and now you're going to be in foul trouble. You have to go out of the game." But he didn't go out of the game, but he ended up being the worst defender in the NBA we've seen in that stretch, because he wouldn't help, and the guys were laying the ball up in front of him. So
yeah, I mean, we saw him closing out on the perimeter, 2 hands up like that, and just letting them go by him.
Yeah, okay, you saw that. I actually said he was like putting a prayer on his head. I don't know what he was doing other than that. It was so weird.
But he boxed himself in because he picked up those stupid fouls. You know.
Yeah,
and then you box yourself in too. It's like, remember what I told you the other night on the live show? It's like, I feel like some players during the playoffs take advantage of the refs' generosity from a standpoint of like allowing them to talk a little bit more, because they know that refs don't want to give technicals during the playoffs if they don't have to. I feel like that's the thing, man. Is like Luka complained that no call early, got a tech. And there was absolutely that obvious foul that he had at the top of the key where he turned around, and if Ben hadn't have turned around to report, he would have seen Luka just going nuts and doing the 2 wave offs, which would have certainly, probably earned him his second technical foul and an ejection. So you just got to be careful about that, because the game needs him, in my opinion. Like, players want him in the game. I want him in the game. Like, the game is better when he's in the game. Okay, I know he had an off night. The game's better when he's in the game. A lot of times people complain about the refs for the ejections and stuff like that, saying they're too soft. I think that we do need to put some of that responsibility on the player, though, when they can't control their emotions. So.
For sure. Well, we got another super chat here as we wrap this up. So again, Blanco Smoke, thank you so much for the generous super chat. Really, really appreciate it. I can't help but think that Blanco Smoke is some sort of strange thing I don't know that I should know, but I don't know. Ant is now a top 10 player, and LeBron is a fringe top 15 player. On a night-to-night basis, LeBron load manages in-game, and Ant is a two-way beast. I mean, I'm saying that. I mean, the list always changes, and I'm always forget somebody who should probably be in there. But yeah, for me, he should be in that 10-12 range, easy. And then LeBron, it's tough, right? There's evidence that LeBron isn't who he used to be. And yet he's also shooting threes like he didn't used to shoot before. But you saw LeBron is LeBron. He is. Tonight was a good example where it's just sort of like up and down. Then Aaron Gordon grabs that rebound in front of him. He had a couple turnovers or missed shots that were really like not, LeBron 5 to 6 years ago wouldn't have done that. So as a result, yeah, he's probably not in the. I mean, everyone's going to put LeBron in the top 10 anyway. The numbers are there, right?
Yeah.
But
do you think a few years ago he contests Murray's dunk attempt at the rim?
Well, wait,
even more so than he did.
The
one where he dunked on. I mean, I don't want to say dunked on LeBron. I guess he kind of did. LeBron was jumping over to contest. Yeah. I think a few years ago he maybe meets him at the apex right there.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly have seen him do that plenty of times. Mm-hmm. So yeah. No question, especially in that kind of situation, playoffs, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, the dude is old. It's like, it's hard to do any of that anymore. Yeah. And so as a result, can you keep him in the top 10? And by the way, that might be what makes this list a little bit off as well, because I know everyone included him in the top 10 when we're talking about where Donovan Mitchell is or whatever. So, he can't get in. you got to have LeBron in the top 15. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think
you have to.
below that.
And you can't ignore. Listen, and you can't ignore. Greatness. Like, and it's like he's still great. You know, like he's still great even at his age. We talked about recency bias earlier, so that's the only reason you would even think about considering him outside of the top 10. Other than that, if you include past seasons, like, I mean, dude, he's obviously the top. You know,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, objectively speaking.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, awesome show. Chip, thank you enough for coming on here and breaking it down and giving us even some more great insight into the refereeing process. We'll do it again.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I loved it.
All right, cool. Yeah, I might have to find like a coach as well. Like, I'd love to hear the coach's perspective, another coach's perspective too, and kind of mix it all together. That'd be interesting. I don't normally do that, but we'll get you back on. I'm sure there's gonna be some other interesting calls like that Anthony Davis overturn they did, and interesting stuff that you're gonna have to help us understand better when they come up.
And I'm gonna have to do a better job of actually jotting notes down for specific plays throughout these games, because they're all running together at this point. All these games are running together, so we'll jot some notes down of some interesting and controversial plays, and next time we get on, we'll discuss a few of them
for sure. And really quickly, someone just caught my eye, like, why did the Nuggets not get very many free throw attempts? It was rough. They were not calling free fouls, but for both teams. But then again, you look at the Lakers, and they had way more, which has been this weird thing that's been happening for them.
So the Nuggets, and somebody please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, did the Nuggets shoot over 37 3-pointers, or some over 35 at least?
38.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got and that was to the Lakers, what? Gosh, is it 18 or I don't know? I'm guessing
they shot 35.
Hang on, the Lakers did too. They both.
Oh,
hang on, they shot 35 and the Nuggets shot 38. That's true. That's an interesting point then, because then, okay, we'll do this as well then. So, and I'm not trying to justify the lack of no calls or whatever, but in the post, unless you're going to the rim, see a lot of times, Jokic will catch the ball in the lane or whatever, or do the midi or stuff like that. You're not going to get as many fouls then. We've talked in the past about AD being a disciplined defender for the most part, which is very, very true. But it is consistent. The free throw disparity was consistent with how with the Lakers' margin throughout the season. My thing is this: you get down to like, all right, what calls should have been made that weren't made, and I think when you look at consistency as a whole, you could always pick and choose like a few things on each side that probably could have been called. But from a consistency standpoint as a whole, I felt like the crew was pretty consistent. Yeah. And there was plenty of times where I'm like, whoa, but like, all right. And on the other side, it was, well, like, there's no call either on that. So it did feel that way. Then you look up and you realize that somehow it doesn't. It's not even. But it's interesting. And all I can tell you is that, and I've spent a lot of time trying to defend this, because you look at the fouls and look at whatever, and everything seems fine, but. For whatever reason, this Laker team for 2 years has been such an outlier on an order of magnitude that we've never seen anywhere close. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to look at that or process that, but maybe somebody can figure it out more. We have one more super chat before we get going here from Daryl Wallace. Thank you, Daryl. Great to see you. Hey, Daryl.
It would be nice to see Anthony Edwards win, but Jokic is a handful for any team. He definitely is, and we're not going to see another one of those games, I don't think, that he had tonight. And again, the game tonight was subpar for him, and it was 25 and 20. And how many assists did he have? He had, let's see. No, this can't be right. Oh, yeah, it is. Sorry. 9 assists. 25, 20, and 9 assists. I mean, that's like that's a great game for anybody. And he shot 57%, but it just didn't feel that way. It was weird.
It did not feel that way.
But he had 7 turnovers, and that's certainly one thing that we were responding.
It was the 7 turnovers, and it was some of those shots where you're accustomed to seeing him make them, and they rimmed out or they were short. It's a few of those factors that made us feel that way.
But listen, Anthony Edwards is young. He's got a whole career in front of him. By the way, Jokic is young. He's 28, whatever he is. So they've got a lot of years in front of them, and it's only good. That's good for us, because we'll get a lot more basketball. So. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chip. Thank you, everyone else out there.
Thanks,
Thank you for the
guys.
super chats. I really, really appreciate all this terrific show. Really makes me feel positive about everything we're doing here because I'm telling you, I'm spending too much time on Twitter, and that's a cesspool, and it's not nice.
Yeah.
But please go watch the video. I don't know. It's late. I might have to go to bed, but I'm gonna get this video done on the Clippers Mavs. Please watch that tomorrow. Watch it twice. I worry that it's already missed my window, but try and watch it, and then I'll also try and get this video done as quickly as I can, some quick focus or whatever to drop 2 videos in a day. So be on the lookout for that. And Chip, how do we find you? Tell everybody how they find you.
Oh, yeah. I'm most active on X or Twitter at Official Chip C. Official Chip C is my handle.
You got it. All right. Well, thank you so much. Great poll. Thank you, everybody, for voting on that one. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Chip?
I'm in, brother. All in.